All right. Welcome back to the Any Given Day podcast. I should have turned myself up in my headphones, but that's okay. Now I just won't have to hear myself, and I'll get to hear our guest. Do not judge me for bringing another white male former Marine on the podcast. He's got a glorious beard. It's even longer than his hair. And that warrants a guest appearance in itself. So, everybody, please welcome Brad Hollingsworth to the podcast. Brad, what's up?
What's up, Nate? Thanks for having me.
Dude, I'm so stoked that I was able to get you on, especially because we ran into every snafu we possibly could, I think, in leading up to this. And so I thank you for your patience, your perseverance, and your Marine intelligence that exceeded my Army intelligence this evening.
Well, we got to represent.
Doing a good job so far. This podcast is heavily skewed in the Marine direction, and I think says something about the friends that I continue to choose.
Yeah.
So to let everybody in, what we were just having the most adult conversation ever, talking about sweat equity in our homes and then selling them way too soon and not knowing if we really got our money's worth, but
Right.
on to the next.
Yeah, no, I just moved to Tampa. So I live in Tampa now in January of this year and came, I guess, from Phoenix via Texas. I'd spent like 10 months in Texas, but Phoenix before that. It actually, when I moved here, I think I was talking to my brother, and I added up all the addresses I've lived at since 2015, which is essentially when I got out of the military and was like my first place out of the military. I've lived at 10 addresses since 2015.
Oh man, I believe it. I've had to get
And
a
and
clearance.
speaking of, and dude, every time I have to fill something out, so it's like, where have you lived? Unless I'm like looking up zip codes and like, I don't know what.
Yeah.
And I've owned 4 of those addresses. So like, talk about like totally losing out on owning a home like multiple times.
Yeah. You're like, we can afford this. We're going to live here forever.
Yeah, right.
Dude, I love the finding addresses for a clearance game where it's like suddenly, not only do I have to find an address, I had to find an ex's number and randomly reach out. I think I had to
like
send
a neighbor or something like that.
Dude, I've had to like hunt people down on Facebook, and I'm like, hey, so-and-so, remember me from back in 2007? I was the apartment upstairs that made all the noise. Well, can you not tell them that when they call you?
Yeah, right.
Oh man, dude, so you got the sore neck shirt on. Were you just at Summer Strong?
No, I was not actually. I just, like everyone else in our profession, have 9,000 of these shirts. So they're my like everyday walking around and workout shirts and stuff like that. No, I haven't been to Summer Strong, I think, since like 11 or 12, something like that.
Wow.
I think because basically since I moved to Arizona, because then it was just so far of a trip to get back across the country. And I had a kid, and then, all that stuff. Everything. Life.
I was going to say, I feel like I say it often, but life be life in.
Yeah, for sure. And then the last couple years, well, at least the last year specifically, I've been kind of at home doing the kid thing while my wife has been freaking skyrocketing to the top of corporate America. So
Now that is the way to live. Trophy husband.
house husband, I believe, is the correct
Is that the term? Am I switching
at
that?
least that's what I've been told is house husband.
Yeah, but doesn't, on occasion, does she at least let you get dressed up and like bring you out on the town?
Yeah, actually, we went out on a date night on, what was it, Sunday night, because it was the long weekend for the first time in like a hot minute, because we found a babysitter of like someone I used to know's ex now lives down here, and their kid is 17. So we found a babysitter, so we got to actually go have a date night, which is harder than you think when you're a 3-year-old.
Heck yeah. I will admit, and I hope I say this tactfully, but the one good thing about being split from my kid's mom is that we do get a decent amount of like it's 50-50. And so you do get kidless evenings. And so like Megan and I are
Yeah.
still able to go and do date things and do us things. And I will admit it's like it's cool for a minute, and then you're like, all right, I miss Lachlan. Let's get him back around here.
Yeah.
Like this house is too quiet.
No, I can imagine. I mean, there's some days when I wish I didn't have a kid running around and I could go do wherever I wanted. But yeah, anytime like we go somewhere, stick her with the grandparents for a couple days, it's like, all right, miss her.
It's how my buddy Nick Hanzik described it as if you never had kids, you wouldn't know what you're missing, but once you have them, you can't imagine life any other way. And you
Pretty
don't
good
want,
description.
yeah,
Yeah.
and you don't want to imagine life any other way. I should add that part.
Yeah, for sure.
It's not like, no, I can't see beyond the rage. Not that there aren't
Yeah.
moments of rage.
Oh, there are. Although I guess all things considered, we have I mean, I guess ours is pretty easy in the grand scheme of things, so I can't complain too much.
Yeah, I get that. I get that. We were saying that the other day. We're like, we actually have it pretty good. Like, it's really not that tough. And especially now at his age, he's almost 8. So, like, he's pretty self sufficient. He's pretty independent. Just open the door and kick him outside and hope he comes back for dinner kind of thing.
It, you know, one of the most, what's the right way, like most amazing, eye-opening, however you want to say it, things about having a kid is like how capable a kid actually is compared to like, I guess like what's fed to us by society, I guess,
Yeah.
saying like that way, like you have to like hover over and protect this thing. Like she is a full person that can do all kinds of stuff all by herself if you just give her the space to do it. And it it's incredible the stuff she can do on her own. Like from like when she was born all the way up till now. That's been the coolest thing I think about being a dad, I guess.
Yeah. I think part of it is we just have to give them the room. Like there's plenty of
Hmm.
times where like I'm impatient and I want to step in, or I'm just like, maybe a little nervous about whatever he's doing. And it's like, okay, just give him the room to roam a little bit. What's the worst going to happen? We'll be okay. Although I should tell this quick story. The other day we decided we're going to give him more room. We're going to let him like ride his bike, and I was like, he can ride it to like the park, which is like more than a few blocks away, and he's going to
Hmm.
like roam with his friends. And I set down like, hey, here's some certain rules that you have to follow. And one of them was that if I drive down the road, I have to be able to see him from the road. So I'm like, if I can't see you from the road, then you are not in the right spot. And so at some point, like his mom went looking for him because she happened to be driving back. We live in the same kind of connected neighborhoods. And she's like, I don't see him. Is he back at your house? I'm like, oh boy. I'm like, so then I drive around looking for him. I don't see him for like probably 5 or so minutes. And then I come back by the park and he's on the swings. And, it turns out he had gone like down a bike path to like his buddy's house so his buddy could grab something. And then they came back on the bike path. It was literally, 5-10 minutes that we didn't see him. And she comes up to my car and she's just like, I could see the smoke coming out.
Smoke coming
And,
out of it.
she was cool with it. She's like, yes, let's give him more freedom, more room. And like, but you could tell she was not, not happy. And then me being me, I was like, if we didn't look for him, he wouldn't have been lost.
Exactly the right thing to say in that moment.
Dude, like, I don't know how I have exes. I don't know how this is possible
Right.
with wisdom like this.
Why are we no longer married? I don't know.
Ooh, so I backpedaled from that one pretty quick. I was like, no, you're right. No, he broke the rules. The rules are the rules. He will.
That's
Oh my goodness. But what are you going to do? So, I bring this up, I guess, like most episodes, but and everybody's always like, oh, what do I need to prepare? And I'm always like, nothing, just show up and chat. And I think it's kind of the beauty of the podcast. At least it's partially why I enjoy it. And the only three things that I try to get to, and I don't even make the strongest of efforts usually, is like, why did someone join? A little bit about time in service, and then kind of a focus on like more of what are you doing now or what have you done since. And I always think it's cool because I know most of the folks who have come on, and yet almost for all of them, I don't know anything about really their life before service. And for a
Hmm.
lot of folks, I don't know much about their time in service because I've met them since. And a lot of people, of course, who have been on to date, I've met in the coaching community. You're one of those
Right. Yeah.
people. So before you decided to let your kid roam free, oh no, that was me. But before you decided to give some space to have your kid prove what they're worth, what made you want to go into the military?
Man. Motivation. So it probably sounds cliche, but like the whole idea of like, since I was like this tall, I always wanted to be in the military sort of thing. But like I can't really pinpoint to a specific time where I was like, oh, this is totally what like all through like middle school, high school, everything like that, like my whole bookshelf was like all like World War II books and stuff. Like I read Band of Brothers and like Gates of Fire in like seventh grade.
Oh wow.
Like just like super into that stuff. Actually, so funny side story. My dad was in New York City in the Twin Towers on September 10th.
Holy shit.
I grew up in Philadelphia, and my dad was a mechanical engineer. He worked on drawbridges specifically. So he like all over the whole like Jersey, New York, Pennsylvania, all over there because there's so many freaking drawbridges over all those rivers and stuff. But yeah, so he was doing a job in New York, and he's one of those guys who like hates to like stay overnight places. So he would drive every morning and drive home every night because he's ludicrous. And so he'd leave at like 4 a.m. and drive up to like Hoboken and take the train over or whatever. And so he wasn't like way up in the tower, but like he took the train over and got out in this, I don't know what the station under the World Trade Center was called, but whatever that subway station was. And so fast forward September 11th, I was in sixth grade. My teacher comes in and goes, "Is anybody's parents in New York?" And I was like, maybe. I don't know if my dad's there today or not. He was there yesterday. Turns out he wasn't there that day, just the day before. But interesting little thing. I actually tried to enlist at 12 years old, like a
What?
couple weekends later. Like we were in the mall and I went to the recruiting station and the recruiter was like, "Dude, like no, no, come back in a couple years." So like it really like from I kind of always wanted to do it, right? And then you get to high school, and so this is where like so I come as opposed to it's probably not the right thing to say, but I come from a very well-off upbringing. My mother is a successful venture capitalist now. My dad is retired, all that kind of stuff. And so no one in my family was in the military. My grandfather on my mother's side got drafted very briefly into Korea and did some like communications stuff or whatever. I don't really know. I never heard a single word come out of his mouth about the army, about the military, nothing. Didn't talk about it at all. To the point where we just when he died, we found a box of like flags and medals and all kinds of stuff just like thrown in the attic somewhere that had been there forever. Like, so no military history really in the family. And then going through high school, and yeah, everyone in my high school is applying to colleges, all that kind of stuff. And I'm not. And my parents were like, what college you want to go to? And I was like, I don't want to go to college. I want to join the military. And like, I can't even describe the level of silence that was my household when those words came out of my mouth. Because this is 2000, that would have been 2007. Because that would have been, I graduated high school 2008. So that would have been like fall, winter 2007. Everyone's applying for schools, all that kind of stuff. And I'm like, I don't want to go to school. I want to go in the military in the middle of a friggin' war. And it was like, the fuck you are? Like, are you kidding me? Like, absolutely not. And so that was like a huge, huge pain point. for a long time. And round we went. And like I did what I did the like the fill out the form when they mail it to you when you turn 18 if you're interested in, I was like, ooh, free drawstring bag. Send me that.
Yeah.
Right? Boom, on the
Winning.
recruiter list. And so the recruiter's calling me, chatting me up because like I'm like the recruiters never came to my high school because I was like in a private, you know, I went to an all boys private Catholic high school kind of thing. And so like recruiters didn't, it wasn't like public school where like the recruiters got to come and set up a table and all that kind of stuff. Like recruiters never came to my school. And so I probably flopped on his desk with the school name and he was like, what the fuck? So he's calling me and I'm like, eh. Long story short, the deal I make with my parents is to apply for an ROTC scholarship. So I do that. I was a horrendous student in high school. School and I just don't get along, even though I have a master's degree now, but that's
I was
here
gonna
nor
say,
there.
if yeah, a master's degree from where?
From Duke.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. You in
Yeah.
school just really struggling, basically
Well,
licking windows.
okay, we'll say post 25 years old, school got a little bit. Oh, I guess my maturity level got to the point where I could do school.
It's something about if you actually like show up and do the work, right?
Yeah, right? Amazing.
Not as appealing when we're 18.
Yeah. And so like, okay, I apply for ROTC scholarship, Navy ROTC. I was already too late to like try to go to an academy or something like that because I missed the boat on how early you got to start that. Not that my grades would have gotten me into an academy. And I have like a 2.8 in high school. And I'm like, there's no way they're going to give me this fucking scholarship, right? Like, it's just not going to happen. And then I'll just enlist. And and it'll be great. Lo and behold, I get the scholarship, a 4-year ROTC scholarship out of high school, which like is especially for like a Marine option from the Navy is like actually pretty rare, come to find out. So I'm like, well, fuck, now I got to find a school to go to because that's the whole like thing here. You actually got to go to school. So I grew up outside of Philly. I applied to Penn State, and because my grades were so bad, they were like, "No, you can't come to main campus. You got to do like the 2 years at satellite campus, whatever the hell, and then you come to main campus." But ROTC was only offered on main campus, so I call up the school. I'm like, "Hey, I have this scholarship. Can I come? I'll even go to a satellite campus that's like 45 minutes away, so I can drive." And they're like, "No." Okay, fine. So I ended up going to Norwich for a year.
Whoa, I did not know that.
Yeah. Yeah. So I went to Norwich for a year. I did the whole like Rook year at Norwich. Because my whole thing was like, if I'm gonna do ROTC, I didn't want to just go like be a frat boy somewhere and like pretend to do, you know, if I was gonna do it, I might as well like try to get the most out of. So I was like, I'll go to like one of the places that have like a Corps cadets and do that whole thing. Anyway, so I go to Norwich. Lo and behold, because I'm there for a reason, I actually do pretty well my first semester. And then my second semester, they rescind my scholarship, rescind my commission package because my eyesight is not correctable to 2020. So I had been fighting that the whole time. So I was born with a crazy astigmatism in my right eye, 2400 vision in my right eye, which is the giant E at the top of the chart. Probably because there's an E at the top of every chart. So I know
Yeah,
there's an E at the
yeah.
top of
You're
the
like
chart.
E for
It's
every
probably
chart.
worse than that. But so they're like, nope, DQ'd. You can't commission because your eyesight isn't correctable in 2020. Because even with correction, it can't be made 2020. I've since gotten LASIK and it's 2060. That was the best LASIK could get me. So I then drop out of school after the semester. I got like a 1.8 my second semester in college because I was just like, well, F this. Like the only reason I was here was for that. And I can't do that anymore. So like, fuck this shit. I didn't want to be here anyway. In hindsight, poor life decision. It made getting back into school much more difficult down the road. So I drop out of school. I come home, basically tell my parents I'm not going back. And they were like, well, you did kind of do everything we sort of kind of asked. They weren't happy that I was but they're like, well, we don't really have an argument anymore. So I go back to the recruiter that was calling me, walk into his office. He's like, hey, what are you doing? I'm like, I'm here to enlist. And he's like, wait, what? I'm like, yep, let's sign up right now. today. And he goes, okay. So he sends me to MEPS, do all that. And I tell this story because it's kind of relevant to the trajectory of how my in-time service went. But so he sends me to MEPS. I've never been told about the ASVAB at all. I don't know what it is. I just know it's this test I have to take. I never got it. They never gave me a practice test like apparently they give everybody. Didn't know that was a thing. Didn't know you could take a practice test. So I go to MEPS. I ended up doing MEPS in 2 days. I did the test one day and the medical the second day. So I stayed in a hotel overnight, which was kind of weird. So I go take the test. I'm on the bus to the hotel, and there's a kid behind me, calls his recruiter, and is talking to his recruiter like super loud, like on speakerphone or some shit. And they're talking about his test score, and his recruiter has gotten his test score, right? And he's like, "What did I get?" And his recruiter's like, "You got, I think it was like a 35." And he's like, "Yes, yes!" Like super pumped, right? That he got a 35. And I'm like, God damn, like, good for you, man. Like, I have no idea what the scoring system of the ASVAB is at this point in time. Like, maybe it's like the ACT where a 32 is like, you just like crushed the whole thing and no one can
Yeah.
do better than you.
Yeah.
Like, I don't know. And so we get to the hotel. I'm like, well, maybe I should call my recruiter and maybe he knows what I got. And so I call him and I'm like, hey, man. And like, the first thing he says to me, he's like, good fucking job, dude. And I was like, thanks. Like, what'd I get? And he goes, dude, you got a 95.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I was like, is that good? Like, I don't know what's good, man. The kid
Yeah.
behind me got a 35 and was losing his mind.
You're like, well, I
And he
tripled
goes,
the other kid, so I guess I'm
yeah,
doing okay.
like, is one the best and 100 the worst? Like, I don't know.
Is this
Like,
golf?
I know nothing about this test. And he goes, yeah, dude, a 95 is really fucking good. Like, I'm like, what's it out of? He's like 99. And I was like, fuck.
Yeah.
Okay. And so like I get back and he does the whole like, here's the entire book of every, because also my GT score is the highest GT. Like this sounds like I'm really full of myself, but my GT score is the highest GT score I've ever come across.
Damn.
I have a 135 GT score.
That is the highest I've ever heard.
Yeah. And so like he hands me the
Wow. Because
entire book.
mine is not low. And now I don't want to share it. And I've
Like,
only met like a couple people with higher than me.
I don't say that's but like, so he, like, like he hands me cause it's relevant. He hands me the entire book. He's like, you can do any job in the entire Marine Corps. Here you go. And I didn't even open the book and I was like, infantry.
This is amazing. This is amazing.
And he looks at me and he's like, what? I want infantry. And he's like, no.
He's like, man, you got a high score, but you're an idiot.
He's like, seriously, dude, you can do any job in the entire Marine Corps. I'm like, infantry. And he goes, oh my God. And I'm like, no, man, I want to do infantry. Infantry. And he's like, okay. And so he gets me an infantry contract. He manages to wrangle me into like the Marine Corps. Like they don't give bonuses, but they have this weird ass, like you can do a 5-year contract and get a $5,000 enlistment bonus. Right? Like, so 5 years active instead of 4, and you get $5,000. Me, I was like, well, this is what I want to do. So like, hell yeah, sign me up. Right? So now I'm in the dep for a couple months. I don't know what it is. And then I go to MEPS to ship, right? So bye to my family, bye to my parents, the whole nine. I go to MEPS. I get to MEPS. And MEPS is like, are you prior service? And I was like, no. And they're like, yes, you are. I was like, no, I'm not. No, you were an ROTC. You're prior service. All your paperwork isn't valid. And I'm like, no, you don't understand. I never signed my contract because they booted me before I signed my contract because I spent the whole first year fighting this contract with the eyesight thing. So I never signed a contract. So I'm not prior service. Like, no, you're prior service. Go home and come back with the right paperwork. So I get sent back home. And I'm like, hey, mom and dad, didn't actually leave. I'm back.
Oh my gosh. Put those tears back in your eye.
Yeah, right. Like, I'm back. And so my recruiter is like, well, okay. So that contract I had with the bonus and all that kind of shit, well, that's gone, right? Because I didn't ship on time. And so then he tries to, I'm like, bro, like, I'm, I want to be out of here. Like, send me. And he goes, okay, I got this open contract. And I was like, absolutely not. Like, no. Because I know they're going to make me do some freaking nerd thing that I don't want to do.
Like
Like,
drawbridge repair.
yeah, something like that. I want infantry, dude. That's all I want. And he goes, all right, I'll see what I can do. And so it's like a month or two goes by and I'm nothing, just sitting in the depth. And so we then have like this giant, like all of Eastern Pennsylvania meet up with the depth where like all the sergeant major recruiter is there and like all this kind of stuff, right? And they do these meetings with all the kids in the depths where they meet with like the gunnies and above, like career recruiters and stuff like that. And so I sit down with this master sergeant and we're talking, and I'm pissed at this point because I haven't left. So I'm like, I'll burn this whole motherfucker to the ground. I don't care. Like, and so Master Sergeant's like, when's your ship date? And I give him my original ship date, which is like 2 months ago. And he's like, what? And I told him what happened and I told him what I want. And he goes, who's your recruiter? And I was like, ooh, no. Oh no. Tell my recruiter. And he goes, wait here. And I'm like, oh boy, I just stirred the pot. Well, anyway, lo and behold, I get back and they magically find an infantry contract for me that ships me in 2 weeks. So I leave. And then another funny story. So I know this is like turned into like the longest story about
So good though.
prior to joining.
So good.
So I fly to Philadelphia and my flight gets delayed in Charlotte, I think, something like that. And so I miss my connection flight to Paris Island or to Hilton Head or wherever the hell it lands. So I have to stay overnight, right? And then I get on a new connection the next day. So I ended up on the pulling up to the yellow footprints. Like I'm sure everyone's seen like the videos of the buses pulling up to Paris Island and the yellow footprints, all that kind of stuff. I pulled up the yellow footprints at like 12 o'clock in the afternoon in a 10-pack van with 4 other dudes that also had delayed flights and got out. And I'm not kidding. A dozen drill instructors came out of the fucking building for 4 of us because they were bored as shit because it was lunchtime. So like we all got like 3 drill instructors a piece for showing up to Paris Island for like the whole of that. So that was super fun. And then so I go through boot camp. I was honor grad in boot camp. Go to SOI. Was almost I came in second for honor grad in SOI. And I know this and I tell this story because my platoon sergeant and the guy who won literally dropped blouses and had a fist fight over who should be honor grad. Like,
Whoa.
it was crazy. And I say this because essentially I didn't get it. And I think what happened is, so it's like the day before graduation, and my instructor, one of my instructors comes up to me and goes, hey, Hollingsworth, do you want to be a sniper? And I was like, yeah, it sounds pretty fucking cool to me. That sounds awesome. And like, it's a job I never even considered because of my eyesight. So like, think back to the whole eyesight thing. And he goes, okay, here's the deal. I think you can do it, but I'm going to tell you what, the way this is all going to go down is your first 6 months in the fleet are going to be hellacious because what's happening is they're going to boot drop you into a sniper platoon, which is not how things are supposed to happen by any stretch of the imagination. So he's like, your first 6 months, no one's going to want you there. They're going to hate your guts and it's going to be absolutely terrible. And I was like, you're really talking this up, man. Like, I appreciate this. So, but I'm like, no, like, let's do it. And he goes, okay, you're sure? Like, you're really sure? Because if I go tell them yes, like this is happening. And I was like, yeah, okay. So anyway, I boot drop into a sniper platoon. 3 weeks after they did their indoc to bring in new fresh blood to platoon. And then I was a PFC that just got like, there you go, you're in the sniper platoon. And nobody except the sergeant major of the freaking battalion wanted me there. So yeah, first 6 months super sucked. There was a couple court martials for hazing that occurred later, but I'm really glad that happened because I don't think I would have had as good a time in like a regular line platoon as I did in a cyber platoon. So dying breed now because they don't exist anymore.
Well,
But
it pays. I was just texting with a past guest today, Matt Luke, and he was talking about how he loves his team and how he can't imagine being with like a regular team because he's surrounded by folks who like they're a specialty and so they're elevated and it takes more work to get there. It takes more work to stay there, and a certain human and personality comes with that. And so similar in your situation, right? Like once you're in that world, it's hard to imagine being in kind of the
yeah,
normal world.
like the being in that world and having the freedom and like encouragement after I got past the initial like you're lower than the blade of grass and the dirt beneath the grass here. Don't speak for the first 6 months. You have nothing worth contributing. After that, like the ability to be encouraged to like think and think outside the box and articulate my opinion and all that kind of stuff from such a low rank was a big part of the reason why I think I had as successful a career as I did, even though I kind of blew it up at the end. But that's a that's another story. So we can get into that if you
I
want.
was gonna
But
say that maybe that'll be, I always say a highlight or a low light, so that could be a good segue.
yeah, so well, two things. One, I do want to clarify for I am not a hog. I am not a school trained sniper. I did not pass sniper school. So in Marine Corps terms, I am what would be referred to as a pig, or a professionally instructed gunman, not a hog, which would be a hunter of gunmen in
Ooh,
Marine Corps scout sniper lingo. I did go to sniper school. I did not pass. I made it to week 10 and a half of 12 and failed one of the last shooting qualifications. And so it was supposed to get recycled. Long story short, my knee was all kinds of jacked up from school. And so I was supposed to recycle to the next class. And they told me I could pick up essentially I had to start a couple weeks back because I hadn't finished stalking, which is the last thing you do. And that starts a couple weeks. So they're like, you can come back and pick up at class when stalking starts and then finish out. And you'll finish out stalking. And then that one shooting qualification you didn't pass, you'll hit that because it'll be the same. The staff NCOIC changes between the next two classes and he redoes the entire program of instruction. And they decide that too many people fail stalking, so they need to pull stalking up to the beginning. And so they're like, no, you have to come back for the whole thing in 2 weeks.
ugh,
And I couldn't walk. Like my knee, like I was taking 1,200 milligrams of ibuprofen every morning to run to the classroom. Obviously, completely ill advised, and I would not suggest anybody do that.
say
But the human performance advice when I got to sniper school was take a multivitamin. So,
sounds about right.
yeah. Um, so, one of the hardest things I've ever done in my entire life was turn down that recycle opportunity and say, I can't go back. Like, I can't run. Like, my knee, I don't know what's actually, like, I was actually kind of scared about my knee. It hurt a lot. Turns out it was not nearly as bad as, or actually, like, could result in like a catastrophic problem if I had kept going. But I didn't really know anything and could barely even put any weight on it. And it was all like swollen up and all kinds of, it was nasty. So I turned down the recycle opportunity to go back to sniper school with like who would do that? Which then put me in a position of like, oh, I'm in a sniper platoon and I just said I don't want to go back to sniper school. How is this going to end? And so I was like, kind of like pivot. Okay, how do I make sure that I stay here? Well, the only thing I can do, because I'm not going to be a sniper right anytime soon. Maybe I can go back down the road, but like there's a bunch of people that are going to jump me in line from the platoon stuff now for school seats. So the only thing I could come up with in my mind was, well, I need to make myself so operationally capable that they can't get rid of me, right? Like I like in an operational sense, I have to be too good or and so then it was like, well, how do I do that? Right. And the only thing I could think of was calm. If I can get good at calm, they can't get rid of me because no one knows how it works.
Yeah.
It's all freaking voodoo, and nothing happens if we don't have calm, right?
Yeah.
We can't go on mission, nothing. So I basically became the calm guy. Taught myself how to use all the radios, taught myself how to write HF like packets and all that kind of stuff, taught myself how to do all, spent a whole bunch of time in the comm shop learning all that. And essentially got to the point where we didn't need a dedicated comm marine in the platoon anymore because I could do it. And so I was like, okay, now they can't get rid of me because I'm here and I'm the
Made
only
you
guy that can.
indispensable.
And so that was essentially my attitude from that point forward. And that, luckily enough, got me to an Afghan deployment when the whole rest of the battalion, the entire battalion went to Romania for like a Black Sea rotational thing. And we carved off one company and one sniper team to go to Afghanistan. And our platoon sergeant took the team lead position. And there was like like the most political, dirty, knives out fighting amongst everyone else to get onto that team that was going. And I beat out all the school trained snipers to be the assistant team leader on that team because of the operational capabilities I gave myself when everyone else was focused on just passing a school. So, yeah. So, anyway, had a great deployment by 2013 standards and then put in a MARSOC packet when I was in country still. Because that was my second deployment and was like, I'm pretty good at this. I want to keep doing this. Let's go like do this for real in the big leagues, kind of whatever you want to call that. Got accepted, got my selection date for after I got back, which was like 4 months after I got back. So I got back from Afghanistan, signed a 6-month extension to my contract so I could go to selection. And then a month before selection, I got a DUI. Yep.
Shit.
Month before selection, I get a DUI. I get NJP'd. My CO rescinds his endorsement, which you need a CO endorsement to go to selection. So therefore, I couldn't go to selection. So therefore, I couldn't pass selection because I can't go. Therefore, I cannot fulfill my reenlistment contract with a lat move to 0372. And basically, I was 3 months into an extension. I gave up my spot in my MOS. And so 3 months later, I was not in the Marine Corps.
Wow. That
Yeah,
happened fast.
very fast. And so, talk about a mindfuck. I basically didn't come out of my bedroom for a month. Like, I was very much depressed. I had no idea what to do. Just blew up everything I wanted to do with my life. Like, I had my dream job, all that kind of stuff. And so it got to the point where like I wasn't answering phone calls from my parents. I wasn't like my dad was like a day away from driving down like to come find me because I was ducking everyone's phone calls and finally answered and told him what happened and all that kind of stuff. But yeah, so that was my exit from the Marine Corps.
That was it's quite an abrupt departure. I mean, the one thing I do want to kind of make sure I emphasize or reemphasize is like the whole concept of find a job. Like I think that that's something that's for the most part pretty common in the service. Like find work, right? A buddy of mine, in fact, I need to get him on this podcast. Two Bravo Solutions is like his company, and he's always thought like he'll put posts up like find work, and like that's
Mhm.
exactly what you did. You're like, okay, find work, find a job, make yourself indispensable, and obviously you're able to leverage that until you experience the kiss of death that is a DUI for most in the military
Yep.
setting. That definitely would have gone in a similar fashion in the ranger community too. So now you're on the other side, you're on the outside and you're trying to figure out what's next. So where did you go from there?
So um my first job was let me back up. So like my knee was still a little bit messed up at that point, right? And I mean, I'm not gonna be like my body was all jacked up from years and years of service. Like I was only in for 4.5 years. Like granted, I did a bunch of rucking and stuff like that. My body hurt, but I was 24 and I'd only been in the military for 4.5 years. Overall, I was fine. But like my knee specifically, so that's kind of like where I started on this human performance journey, if you will, of trying to figure out what was wrong with my knee and how to fix it and all that kind of stuff because everyone was just like, "Oh, you have IT band syndrome." Like, what the fuck is IT band syndrome? Like, it doesn't tell me anything. Like, just foam roll it, guys. Like, it's not helping. So that kind of started that whole thing. I got a job at GNC of all places, and then I had been working as like a bouncer and like a security guy and all that kind of stuff my whole time in, because I managed to not have a kid, not get a Marine Corps tattoo, and not get married the whole time I was in the Marine Corps, which is a pretty that's like the triple play right there.
I was gonna say, did you dip?
Once and vomited everywhere.
Yeah, see, that's a quadruple.
Yeah,
That's an in the
yeah,
park home run, my friend.
yeah, right. So, like, I was working at like bars and all kind of stuff, and then was like, "There's a whole bunch of money sitting around for me to go to school. Like, I should probably use it." So went back, got a degree in exercise science, opened my first business while I was still an undergrad in a gym in North Carolina that's actually still open. I sold it to my partner when I left, but got a degree in exercise science, and then kind of bounced around. I have a very non-traditional route through human performance. I have not worked a single day in collegiate, which I kind of wear as a badge of honor.
You and me both, dude.
Yeah. However, as many know, that makes it very difficult to get a job in the tactical field. And so, like, I did some contract work. I worked for North Carolina Guard for a little while, and then I worked for the Tempe Police Department when I was out in Arizona, which that's everything I got into there with like all the mental health side and all that kind of stuff is that's a whole nother, that's an entire another hour podcast. Speaking of which, small plug for myself, I am speaking about that at TSEC this year. So,
Sick.
yeah. So did that, and now I'm in Tampa and attempting to open another gym right now. So we'll see how that goes. We're still in the early stages.
Man, that's awesome. I know a few people in Tampa that you might already know, but if not, I need to make sure to introduce you to some of them.
Don't know many people down here, so
Then I will make those introductions as soon as I can.
I appreciate it. The introductions you made for me in Phoenix were excellent. So G
Yeah,
and I still talk a lot.
dude. Yeah, so it was Giovanni and it was Sean.
Hmm.
Man, Sean's
Yeah.
another person I need to have on this. Really, I need to start doing lining up more people here. Shit. So how are you liking Tampa right now?
I like it a lot. It's same kind of weather as North Carolina, which I really liked. I lived in Wilmington for a long time. And then it's close to all the diving I like to do, which we didn't really I'm into cave diving, so that's my hobby.
I was gonna say that right now I'm in this host dilemma
Hmm.
of making sure we don't talk for 2 hours. Plus, I know you
Yeah.
and me, and we could easily talk for 2 hours.
We'll go for
But
5
we
hours.
but we've already solved because we're gonna do a part two. Like that's happening.
Okay.
I
All
wrote
right.
it down on a yellow legal pad, which means it's happening with the number two pencil.
Oh,
Need
it's
sharpening,
legit.
and
The only thing that more official than that would be a green monster.
it's man, that'd be
If it
sick.
goes in the duty logbook, it's official.
It's as real as it gets. I need to get some books. In fact, my boss has them, and every time I see his book, I'm like, I need to go. Like, I need to go get that. So what we're gonna do, I think, I would love to come back and have a part two focus that's kind of in tandem with your TSAC presentation
Okay.
and probably that avenue. And so, if you're cool with it, I'd love for you to dive into look at that,
Ha! See what you did there?
yeah, a little bit more about like your adventure hobbies.
Yeah. So, I've managed to, in my post, I guess, or my veteran life, managed to pick up probably the most expensive hobbies on the face of the planet. I have a really bad habit of I can't like everything I want to do is like ridiculously expensive.
This is why your wife needs to keep climbing the ladder.
Right? Exactly. Marry up, everybody.
That's right. That's right. We just got the podcast title right there.
There you go.
Mar-
Yeah. So scuba diving is one of the big things I got into. I actually did no diving in the military. I wasn't part of recon communities or anything like that, so I didn't do any diving. I had done like vacation dives and stuff throughout my life, but nothing crazy. But I got into diving shortly after getting out of the Marine Corps when I was all like jacked up in the head from that abrupt halt. And that was, besides like the gym, that was kind of my outlet and happy place, if you will. And took that to like the extreme of the extreme and got into underwater cave diving. So basically going into super dark, deep underwater caves, and it's my favorite thing to do.
Dude, how tight are some of these caves?
It depends.
Because like that's what I'm envisioning. Is like,
So some, I'll send you a couple videos like tomorrow or something like that. Some you could drive like 2 18-wheelers through at a time, and then you can get like little side passages that you're like scraping through and stuff like that. But you want to know the funny thing? So like I've heard you talk about like mountain biking, and like I've talked to actually David Pedersen a bunch about like archery and like where he goes with archery. Funny enough, cave diving is that for me. So the reason I love cave diving so much, specifically cave diving as opposed to other like your regular old like flop off the boat reef diving kind of thing, is because how focused you have to be, and how you can like it's the one activity I've found in my entire life where when I dive and I go inside a cave, everything else in my head is completely brain dumped. Nothing else. All I'm doing is diving in a cave because I have to pay attention to everything, right? And I wear a dry suit, so I'm actually able to wear like heart rate monitors and stuff like that. And because I nerd on some of this stuff, like I've worn heart rate monitors while I've been cave diving. I have a lower heart rate 100 feet underwater, 1,000 feet back in a cave underwater than I do standing on land.
holy shit. I have a higher
Yes.
heart rate right now thinking about cave diving
Yeah.
than I do
Like
when
it's
I'm on a run.
like for me, it's meditation, right? Like, because the whole name of the game in scuba diving is like exert yourself as little as possible, right? Because the less you exert yourself, the less you're consuming gas wise, the longer you can dive, right? So it's all about being as, one with the kind of whole environment that you're with. And then specifically on diving open circuit, so regular scuba gear that like blows bubbles out, right? Not rebreathers. Because it's so loud underwater, and it's like there's a whole meditative like flow to the breathing and everything like that. Yeah, it's my zen.
So
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 as
is
long as you
there
can get past like the claustrophobia side of things, like it's pretty awesome.
yeah, I mean like the okay, we can drive semis down this cave. I can handle.
Hmm.
If I can't at least like turn, I feel like in a
Right.
spherical like in every
Yep. Yeah, I
direction, like
got you.
now
Yeah.
I'm like, I don't
You,
know. And I'm
do
not
you
that
dive it?
claustrophobic, but like if we add the tightness plus the underwater,
Yeah. Do you dive at all? Like, have you ever
I
been
have. So
diving?
I won't say that I dive. I have dove.
Hmm.
I was lucky enough. We did like a cool, it's just a random opportunity that came up to do like a 2 week scuba course. It's while I was in the military, but it wasn't a military course. It was at the rec center. But
Yeah.
we,
Yeah. Okay.
but we got to go during the duty day and it was taught by this old Green Beret diver. So it was an awesome course. And then me and some buddies, we dove a little bit out there in the Puget Sound and I thought I would like get into it, stay into it. I
Hmm.
never really did it again, except for like one day on like a touristy thing at the Great Barrier Reef. So like that is the extent of my diving. I
Do you
did
have
enjoy
a
it quite a
Do
bit.
you have a certification
I have
card?
a Patty
Okay.
like card still
I'll make
somewhere.
I'll make you this deal because TSAC is in Orlando this year. I would imagine you're coming to that.
I will be there.
If you
I've
want to come on
yeah.
the front or back end of that, I will take you diving. We won't go cave diving, but there's a zillion dive places around Florida. I'll take you diving.
This is happening.
All right,
I'm literally
we'll do it.
gonna text the kiddo's mom as soon as we finish this podcast, and I'm going to say that I'm stretching this trip. She'll be all about it. I'm going to say I'm stretching this trip out a little bit, get some diving in,
Yeah, man. And
and then we
I
will make it
again,
happen.
we get into the expensive shit. I have enough gear. You don't need to bring gear. I can outfit. I have
I mean, I can
far
rent
too much.
stuff or whatever.
I have far too much dive gear.
You're like
So,
you are with dive gear what Giovanni was with mountain bike equipment. Like, I don't think he knew that I had a bike, but I showed up with my bike, and I'm not a gear guy. So like, I'm always the dude who's like got like his like sack lunch like tied to a string over my shoulder, and everybody else has like the cool shit.
mhm.
I'm a late adopter, so I'm very slow to pick up gear. But like, I rolled up and he had a second bike, pristine, all ready to go, super clean. Like, you could eat off of this thing. And he had a jersey for me, shorts, shoes, gloves, helmet, the full gamut of like mountain bike everything for me to ride with him. And I
Now
was like,
I'm gonna have to call him
holy
because I
shit.
lived in the same city as him for 4 years, and he never did that for me.
See, that's the problem. I drove 12 hours to
Yeah,
get
okay,
there.
there you go.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
So if
Yep.
you go to visit him now, he better roll out the red carpet for you.
That's a fair point. Okay.
It's
Yeah.
Man, dude, I'm stoked for like, yes, we're diving. I'm in. I'm in.
All
This
right.
is like,
Cool. We'll do
I'm
it.
not just saying it. I'm there. I'm in. All right.
I'll find us a good spot.
Man, I am besides the fact that I now have a free wait, is it free? How much do I have to pay you? I have a
You're good.
free dive guide,
Yeah.
theoretically free. Aside from that, I'm glad we went this route because it's obvious that you're passionate about it, and it's wild for me to try to understand the contrast in emotions that we feel while thinking about the same thing. But I also get it. I totally, totally get it. Now, I wish I could get my heart rate down low while I'm bombing down the hill because I swear it's higher going down than it is up for me still.
There's no way I'd be bombing down a hill and not like at a 180.
Bombing is probably a strong term for me to use for my shitty mountain biking, but I'm going to use it anyway. Nobody knows the difference. I'll throw up some cool photo. It'll look like I do cool things. But where are we going? Oh, where we're going is a closeout. And the closeout
Okay.
is this. It's the only consistent across every one of these deals that I tried to maintain, which is, if maybe your former self, maybe a friend, maybe some random person listening in that you don't know, but if you had to give some advice to somebody, anybody, either in or entering the veteran community, what would that piece of advice be?
Okay. So what I would say is there's all kinds of talk about like find your calling, find the next mission, like all that kind of stuff, right? I think where that goes wrong with a lot of people is they look at that as whatever that is, that has to be your job, right? It's not the case. Like for me, I do not enjoy working out and exercising nearly as much as I used to because I turned it into my entire profession, right? And I opened my own gym and I spend 90 hours a week there training people, and it completely burned me out to the point where like I didn't even want to be inside of a gym. On top of the fact that like others in our field, I've never been like this like religious experience with a barbell, right? Like that's just kind of never been me. I've always been an
Same.
athlete, and it was kind of like well, you got to do this sort of thing. And so like to this day, I struggle with like get your ass up and go do something. Like, and I think part of that is taking like that passion for working out and exercise and all that kind of stuff and turning it my full-time job. And so I've been actually very diligent with that with diving to not like I do have an instructor rating, and so I am a scuba instructor, but I've been very deliberate in not doing that a lot because I don't want to turn it into a job because then it loses its whole thing. So I guess what I would say is you do need to find something, and we can get more into this like in this part two down the kind of mental health rabbit hole thing we can go down, which both of us are not even close to qualified to talk about.
We might not be certified, but I think we're qualified.
But I think a key thing is find something that is not your job. that you can go do that isn't your entire life. There's a book I read, and I'll have to figure out what it is, that about it was specifically about cops, but it had this thing called a case of the I used to's, right? I used to do this. I used to do that. I used to play an instrument. I used to whatever, insert whatever here. Get out of that. Find something that you used to do that you like to do and start doing it again. And it doesn't have to be a job, right? It can just be something fun. It can be a hobby, something like that. So, but you do need something. That's what I would say.
Yeah, I definitely agree with that. And you went from find a job to find something that's not a job, and both
Mhm.
equally valuable and in totally different ways. And it, yeah, it's like keep playing, right? Like keep playing. Like people sometimes, folks who do like who go the job route, right? Who like that's their
Mhm.
whole thing. Sometimes they look at people who keep playing and they almost like look down on them, or they're like, "What's this guy doing on a scooter? Like, what are these bros doing on their mountain bikes? Like, why is this guy, taking a Saturday to go dive instead of spending it doing X, Y, Z?" And it's like, dude, because it's so good for you and it makes you show up better everywhere else in your life.
Exactly. Right? Like you need some kind of like, and like it's almost like if you're essentially hopping from one like extreme in right into another, like the whole reason we're in this position is because we put so much of ourselves into our job, right? And then you get out and it's this entire like identity crisis and life change, and you have to like rewrite all the software essentially. um I don't necessarily recommend just doing the same thing again, right? Like essentially, like find something you really enjoy and do it on the side and keep it something you really enjoy. So,
Yeah, I think that that's phenomenal advice, and I think that you, similar to me, probably could have used that advice when you're first getting out. 'Cause,
yes.
like, we probably put our whole selves into some things and aren't necessarily better for it.
Right. I mean, we made it here, so maybe there's some positive, but
Yeah. No, you learn the hard way sometimes. I mean, a freaking Marine sniper, pig, not hog, and, a ranger, if nothing else we have in common, it's the fact that we probably need to learn shit the hard way.
it apps yeah, it is a it, character trait or character flaw. I'm not sure
That's
which side of the I'm not sure which one you put it in, but yeah,
but
it's there.
it's character nonetheless.
Yes.
All right. Well, I'm going to keep calling it out because this is forever my least favorite part of hosting this podcast, which is ending it. But it's definitely been a killer time, and also a little embarrassed that we haven't caught up sooner. But as we said earlier, life be life, and I feel like we always still just pick up like it was yesterday. I'm now triply stoked for TSAC and coming to see you and getting some diving in, but not paying you because it's not your job. And
Exactly. We're just
Brad,
friends. We're just
that's right.
buddies
We're
diving.
just bros. As long as
Yeah.
I make it back alive,
Hey,
don't feed
that's all that
don't
matters.
yeah, don't feed me to the fish. Well, Brad, thank you for coming on, man.
Well, thank you for having me. It was a blast.
Well, you're going to be back again, so I'm glad you feel that way.
Cool. Looking forward to it.
Sweet.